Assalomu alaykum hurmatli forum ishtirokchilari, aziz mehmonlar.
Assalamu alaikum, dear attendees of the forum, dear delegates. It's our pleasure to welcome you in Samarkand, the city which is eternal and ever young, and welcome to Uzbekistan. You are aware that our great scholars of the past, such as Ahmad al-Farghani, Muhammad al-Bukhari, Abu Rayhan Biruni, and Ibn Sina, and Mahmud Zamakhshari, and other great scholars, when they traveled the world and shared their observations and their scholarly thinking, contributing into the development of the modern science. And there have been hundreds of treatises and books which have become our heritage. So they traveled the world in pursuit of knowledge, and as a result, they have found thousands of students sharing their knowledge and expertise, thanks to the efforts of these great scholars and the scientists of the past. Back in the 11th to the 15th century, when the world has gone through the first and the second Renaissance, when we have seen many great discoveries and inventions. Now, as we are going to the period of the third Renaissance, our distinguished president, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, had initiated the government's priority focusing on education. Our president recently approved the strategy of Uzbekistan 2030, focusing on educational reform, specifically creating the favorable environment for education and focusing on specifically on school education, helping thousands of our teachers, the faculty members, in their efforts to go abroad for study abroad or for internships and training abroad. And we have the ambitions for Uzbekistan to join the top 50 countries of the world in the area of education. At the same time, we'd like to underscore that in our country, we have introduced a new system of presidential schools, and so there are 114 such presidential schools, and there are over 300 other specialized schools which are also now reaching the ranks of the best schools around the world, and we are very much pleased to gain this recognition. So the young people of Uzbekistan are continuing their pursuit of education and global experiences, and attending the international Olympiads, and they have won dozens of gold, silver, and bronze medals in various contests and scientific Olympiads. For example, in the Hamduslik contest with a number of countries, over hundreds of our children have actually attended this and participated in such contests along with their peers from abroad. Now, also, in order to offer you greater insight into our country, into its nature and the cultural heritage, we are hosting a number of tourism-related events. Certainly, in order to enable this effort to be productive in Samarkand and in Namangan, we have created the summer camps for children, which has been made possible with the efforts of our ministry. And also, I'd like to mention that under the auspices of the UNWTO, we are starting a pilot project to introduce tourism-related hours in 20 schools in Samarkand. So we'd like to thank the Secretary General of UNWTO, Mr. Zora Palilkashvili, for his personal contribution into making this possible. And our distinguished president also has made this a priority and has instructed to introduce similar hours in the schools in the other regions of Uzbekistan. So, dear friends, we believe that in the framework of this international event, we will have a productive exchange of opinions in the area of innovation and education, in the area of tourism, and we look forward to having very constructive and productive conclusions and recommendations and proposals, and we'll certainly greatly appreciate also any insight, any recommendations related to development of the secondary educational system. So allow me to wish very productive word to all the delegates and attendees of the conference. Thank you so much.
Sizga ham katta rahmat, UNWTO. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Very inspiring words. You're absolutely right. It is very critical to invest in young people and promote tourism ideas among the kids from very beginning. Thank you very much for ideas. Now I'm very pleased, dear colleagues, to invite on stage His Excellency, Mr. Zurab Palalikashvili, UNWTO Secretary General. Over to you.
Good morning to everyone, and very happy to see such big audience. We were talking yesterday during our General Assembly's first plenary session that many things we started and we did last 2-3 years first time. This is first time that we have such big audience, such big interest during the history of UNWTO regarding education. This is, I think, the historical step to put in days of General Assembly education and as top level as you are presented. I don't want to mention now the names, because if I go from the right to the end of this hall, there are so many ministers, there are so many people and very high representatives from educational field that it will be impossible. So I will be very general, and then my colleague Natalia Bayon, our executive director, will present where we are going, what we are doing, how do we see education, the part of tourism. But let me to share my opinions regarding this. I will touch 2 points: sustainability and education. Let's start from sustainability. We are talking about, and there are many statements and many things talking about sustainability and sustainable development. But at the end of the day, what is sustainable development? Then I will move to education. We need to educate kids, and we have to be educated what is sustainable development. There are many ideas, many different opinions. You will ask my friends and ministers, all of them, they will have different vision, different view. But what we started 1 year ago to have academic understanding and academic program, what is sustainability? Plastic initiatives and the war against plastic. If we don't educate our kids, for example, me, nobody told me in my childhood, and I'm sure many of you, that how we have to behave when we are traveling, how and what we have to do with this waste, and food waste is another big challenge. Again, everything is linked to education, and I'm very happy that we started these conversations 1.5 year ago, and we are here. We are here with such big power, and power it's you. But during this 1.5 year, what we achieved to create concrete academies and concrete institutional centers. For me, it's honor and pleasure to have with us Minister of Education of Uzbekistan. Thank you, Excellency, to be with us, and it's our pleasure. And as you announced, this is also a very big step to put tourism like a subject in schools, in high schools. And Uzbekistan, most probably because we had also the other offers and demands, will be one of the first or maybe first country where kids in school, in high schools, the last 2 years will learn tourism like a subject, like a history, like geography, like mathematics, physics, etc. This is a big step, and I think in long-term run, and tourism is very nice, no, we're creative, positive, friendly, and history, culture, and everything, and geography even includes in tourism. It can be very prestigious and very interesting for kids. I hated many subjects like biology and this kind of things when I was a kid, but tourism will be acceptable and interesting for everyone. So our long program is to create as much educational center and as much academies we can in all regions worldwide. I always say when I meet with even with the heads of states or ministers more, they are asking two things. First is always money. They think that we are UN big organization and we can support all the initiatives. We don't have money. But the second, it comes always 99% meetings starts with the education and trainings. All of them, they need it. And when we did analysis, there are not many. Sometimes there are not even one or two strong business schools or educational entities who can offer the education. If you think in your countries, and take one of your countries, you will find that you will have one hospitality school, two maybe one university, but you will find that there is no place where your kids can learn and study tourism. And then we have a latent problem of trainers and professors. Okay, we want to open 100 schools, but they are not professors. We are talking about online academy. We cooked, let's say, in good sense, 50 new products, and it cost us 3 years. Why? Because there is a latent, there is a need and demand of professors. This is another challenge we all faced, and to put everything together, I mean, we need to invest in education. We need to invest in people who can create a competitive and strong tourism sector and tourism industry. Yesterday we were talking about investments, and also yesterday I mentioned that we can build thousands of hotels and thousands of airports and roads and restaurants and shopping centers, but everything needs people, and these people has to be prepared. So you see that I'm very emotional. We started 2 years ago talking about education. Before we didn't have even one person who can, and even department to support education in tourism. But as you see, we have 1,000 representatives from 140 countries now attended with a big interest, and I want to use this floor and use these 3-4 hours to talk more, to communicate more, and lastly, I want to inform you who maybe don't know that we have more than 15 years small, ambitious, but very lovely educational center in Andorra. Like Andorra is small, warm, and very interesting place from where we are supporting especially governments to train their staffs. And we made more than 45 projects. And then just 3 weeks ago, we opened hospitality management and tourism school, which will be transformed in one of the biggest tourism academy in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. This is one of the biggest and ambitious projects, ambitious in good sense, worldwide. And first, talking about education and tourism, and I want to thank to His Excellency, our dear Chair of Executive Council, Minister Ahmed Al-Khatib, to supporting from the first meeting we met. I remember when we met, it was 5 years ago. We agreed to create the strongest and biggest academy in the world, and we did it. and we will do more. And now we're in Uzbekistan. Same. When we're starting conversations with my dear brother, Minister of, now he is Minister of Environment. Environment also we need education. People have to know a lot of things, but he's more than 7 years or maybe 10, I'm sorry if I make a mistake, he personally is supporting, and he is at the same time the Dean of Silk Road University in collaboration with us. He is supporting education since he finished his high school, I think, and very thankful that tomorrow we will celebrate and we will open another hospitality and tourism academy here in Samarkand, and this is another step. So all this infrastructure is for you. You have to use, you have to be active. I see our dear friend from Hong Kong Polytechnic University, another very strong partner. Instituto de Empresa in top business school is in the last 15 years, another big partner. We have an office there. I mean, step by step, we are growing and establishing not partnerships, but concrete schools where kids can come and learn about tourism, a lot of things. Look at huge representatives from India. India needs at least maybe 100 schools. They are building 67 airports, imagine. At least 100 schools we can open easily. But again, we need people, we need professors, we need content, we need product to learn. This is what we are doing, and we are preparing for long term, which can't happen in 1 day or in 1 month, but in 10 years, I'm sure that we will have 10 times more or 100 times more academies and centers to learn tourism. So thank you very much for your attention. I will stop my presentation and will ask to everyone from private sector to government to invest in education. Investing in education, first of all, you will earn money if you are a businessman. You will earn money. But second, you can't find such nice and such humble and such useful place. A part of money, you will be more than happy investing in tourism industry and in education. So this will be my message from Investment Forum from yesterday and today. Invest in education and invest in tourism, both of them. Rahmat, and wish you successful session, and use these contacts, because I see many professors, many important people from the industry, and you will need them, I'm sure, for your kids and for the future.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Rahmat. I think very sincere, very inspiring words. Thank you very much. And you're absolutely right. Capacity and capability building in tourism industry is critical for development of the sector. Just to respond to your question, in Uzbekistan, we have over 15 higher education institutions which offer courses in tourism and hospitality. And there is quite a large network of vocational schools as well, which offer courses in this field. So our government places very big attention to develop education in this sector. So thank you very much, therefore. Dear colleagues, now with a great pleasure, I would like to invite on stage His Excellency Mr. Ahmed Al-Hatib, who is the Minister of Tourism of Saudi Arabia and also the Chair of the UNWTO Executive Council. Your Excellency, please.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. A very good morning. I don't need to add much to what my colleagues ministers have said about the importance of education, professional education, and training. However, I need to remind all of us that our industry, our sector, travel and tourism, employs 10% of the world workforce, or 1.6 billion people in 2019. We lost about 60 million jobs due to the pandemic, and we are recovering these jobs. Not only that, we employ, or 80% of the workforce in the travel and tourism are youth, young people. They need more training and they need a better education. And the turnover in our industry, unfortunately, is higher than other industries. And therefore, we need a continuous training and development to make sure that our people, the people who work in our sector, are well trained and well equipped to provide a better service to their guests. It is very easy to build buildings. We call it hardware. The roads, airports, hotels, buildings, telecommunication. But it is extremely difficult to build the best software. And the main software is the people. When we talk about planet, prosperity, and people, planet is taken care of by a better sustainability. COPE is taking care of the planet. And when we employ people, when we connect, when this industry grows, we will accomplish and deliver and achieve the prosperity. However, the people part is very, very important, especially the young people. We have to make sure that they are equipped. We have to make sure that they have a career in our sector. And we have to make sure that when they serve their guests, they are equipped with the best education and training in order to deliver the culture. You don't get the culture from the building, or the main source of communicating and transferring the culture are the people. And I can tell you and give you tons of examples. And I expect that you believe me, because I visited 120 countries in my life. I think I'm competing with the Secretary General. I don't think I'll beat him, but in this year alone, I visited about 50 countries, from the Pacific to the Caribbean to Africa. Last week, I visited 8 countries, met with 8 presidents in Africa in 3 days. It was a nightmare, but I did it. And therefore, when I say something, I expect you to believe me. So I think people are very, very important. And in Saudi Arabia, if I may share our example, we opened up the sector in 2019. We said we have been relying on the oil and gas for many, many decades. And now we have to, with Vision 2030, we have to explore other sectors. We have to unlock other sectors. And one of the sectors that we founded in Saudi Arabia, heading there, is the travel and tourism. And we said, why don't we unlock this sector? The sector in 2019 contributes 3% to the GDP. 10 million people visited Saudi Arabia in 2018. And this year we will reach to 30 million international. And the contribution will reach to 6.5 to GDP, more than double in about 5 years, aiming and targeting to reach to the global average, which is 10% by 2030. We decided to unlock this sector. We opened up the country for tourism in 2019. You can get visa to visit Saudi Arabia and explore the beauty of Saudi Arabia. For example, the mountain in the south, the Red Sea, the beautiful Red Sea in the west, the very strong culture in the center, and so on and so forth. And the government, through the private and the public sector, announced investing $800 billion in the next 10 years. You know the biggest risk I have in Saudi Arabia? Having the trained, well-trained manpower to manage the massive number of resorts, shopping malls, restaurants that we are building today. And actually, some started the operation. We inaugurated the Red Sea Airport last month, and we launched 3 resorts at the Red Sea last week. So we started opening the resorts and the destinations to the world travelers. We are building an additional of 300,000 key rooms in the next 10 years. And I knew from day one that manpower will be the biggest risk. If we don't have the right people to manage the beautiful resorts and the shopping mall and the historical sites and so on and so forth, people will come and leave with very little memories. What leaves great memories behind you are the people, the stories that people tell you about how great is their countries. I was in the beautiful Samarkand yesterday and the day before, and the people told me about the history and heritage, and I grabbed a few hours to visit a couple of sites, and the people were in a great passion. We're talking about the historical sites here, which that made me amazed about the history and the culture of this city and this country. And therefore, we decided in Saudi Arabia to embed and create colleges in the universities. And we decided to pledge $100,000 every year to train 100,000 young Saudis inside and outside. And we launched this program back in 2020 with His Excellency, the Secretary General in Jeddah. And we are building many training centers and institutes, and we have invited 10 top training institutes to come and set up their campus in Saudi Arabia. And in the World Tourism Day 3 weeks ago, we announced the inauguration of the Riyadh Hospitality and Tourism School that is going to be the biggest in the world, and it will be open for everyone to enjoy its in-class and virtual training and development. And therefore, please, the World Travel and Tourism Council said the international arrivals will double by 2023. In 10 years, the 1 billion arrivals this year are going to be 2 billion. The additional 1 billion will definitely go to new destinations. And these new destinations needs to prepare itself and to have the people, the young people, ready to serve. So I can congratulate you, Mr. Minister Aziz, for paying an attention to this very important topic and helping the people to find their jobs and to train them and provide them with the skills they require to transfer their great culture to their visitors. I thank you, and I will be happy and glad to be part of this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's amazing to hear your story and what is being done in Saudi Arabia. But I would like, in particular, to thank you for what you are doing in your capacity as a chair of the Executive Council of WTO to promote tourism education across the world. So thank you for your inspiring words. Now, colleagues, we have done with the more formal part of our session, and now we are moving to a keynote, and I would like to invite on stage Ms. Natalia Bayona, who is Executive Director of UNWTO, and the person who, together with the Secretary General, has worked on the education pillar for the last 5 years, and who will present the work that has been delivered already, as well as the very exciting projects that they work on, and additional ones that will be launched soon. So, Ms. Bayona, the stage is yours, please.
Good morning. I'm really excited today because I have seen that for the first time, all of the high-level delegates here are speaking from their heart, and I don't know if you have seen, neither Minister Aziz, nor SG, nor His Excellency Al-Khatib, nor the Minister of Education, they didn't have a speech. They were talking from their heart, and this confirms what I already know and what you will know. Tourism is the most human economic sector. And here we are to rock and to talk about why we need to invest in people more than ever. So let's start the journey. As Secretary General always say, to build the future, we need to invest in people. So first of all, let's start with the current status and the data when it comes to tourism education. So tourism is the top employer of youth. The sector has had up to 50% of all its workers aged 25 years old or younger. That's incredible. And there's another opportunity. In the world, we have 1.2 billion people that are under 15 to 24 years old. But what is happening in the OECD, the more mature countries when it comes to the economy? 10% of youth unemployment in the OECD countries. 14% of youth in the OECD countries are without completion of upper secondary education in 2022. Oops. If you can help me with the next slide. And then let's go to technology. Google did a research that included 99 countries. And what are the young people searching to study? Young people want, in the first place, to study nursing. Second place, they want to study business. Third place, young people in the world want to study law. Where is tourism in the study? The answer is nowhere. Tourism is not in the top 3 of any of the 99 countries of the study. The only country that is in the study where tourism appears is Senegal. So here, it's a question that I have. It's a matter of perception. It's a matter of marketing better our sector. It's a matter of salaries. Then let's jump a little bit on the UN Education Report. Where is the world when it comes to general education? I'm not talking about tourism education. The general education, by far, #1 country when it comes to education is Germany. #2, Finland. #3, Iceland. #4, New Zealand. And then I have, please go back here. And then we can see the UK in the 6th, Australia, Singapore. The US was not part of this study, but this shows pretty well where is education in the world. It's very concentrated in the most developed countries. And when I go to where is the tourism education ranking, it's a little bit better, but still we have a lot to do. So when it comes to the leaders in tourism higher education, by far it's Switzerland, all of us know. Second is the US. Third, China. And then we have, again, key players like Netherlands, France, UK, Spain, UAE, Malaysia. But again, tourism education is as well concentrated in the more mature countries when it comes to tourism. So what do we need to do to diversify a little bit tourism education? And yes, we have the best schools in Europe and in the US that, of course, are the more mature regions when it comes to tourism. But in the European Union, look at the skills versus the salaries. Up to 25% of the tourism workers have low-level qualifications. So we have the best schools there, but we are facing a problem on jobs. But let's see the US case. From all the sectors of the economy, in average, the weekly wage is 710, what is paid. But for a tourism worker, it's 311. Almost in another sector of the economy in the US, you are doubled paid. So here we have a strong fact. It's not only about education, it's crossing education with added value jobs. What is the future? What are the opportunities with the scenario that we have? By 2030, education and technology will grow annually by 16%, and it will reach $404 billion. The first conclusion here is online education is a must in tourism because it's our present, but as well our future. Second opportunity, 80% of tourism education programs are focused on hotel management. We need to diversify. Not only tourism is about has more than 100 subsectors in the economy. We need to create more programs to diversify, to talk about transport, to talk about hospitality, about gastronomy, about vocational training, but as well as management. And related to jobs, by 2030, we will have the opportunity to bring almost 1 million jobs. So we have here 3 key messages: diversification of education and updating the curriculums, education and technology, online education, and jobs. And then, in the next slide, we can see what we should do to ensure development of tourism with these facts and figures that are not good or bad. It's the reality that we have. So let's start here in the next slide. What is UNWTO doing in tourism education? So here, I would like to give you a brief of the UNWTO strategy on education. This year, for the first time, we decided to start to work high schools because we understood with these facts and figures that are not good or bad, are the facts that we need to empower since high school to assure that the kids understand that this is a strong economic sector. Then jumping to higher education, please go back. Then online education, then executive education, jumping to quality, and last but not least, the international academies. So today, there's a strong education framework in the UNWTO to serve the 360 degrees on tourism education. So let's start the journey on high school. What are we doing? Yesterday, during the plenary, you had a book. That is a study that we did this year with the top 3 academic methodologies: the American methodology, the British methodology with Cambridge, and with IBO, the International Baccalaureate Organization in Switzerland. You all have today some brochures on the way forward with them. Why? Because we need to include tourism, as Secretary General mentioned, as a subject. We have here some facts. For example, we did a survey under this study with all the member states of UNWTO. 82% of our member states in the UNWTO have not included yet education as a subject. We have there a challenge and an opportunity to work together. And inside this toolkit as well, we have the case studies of countries that have been working and teaching tourism as a mandate. We have Colombia, we have Egypt, Canada, and non-member states as well. Jamaica, Saudi Arabia, Portugal. Cambodia, Switzerland, among others. So take the opportunity to read that toolkit and to talk to us. We are ready. The methodologies are here because they are here as part of one panel that will be focused on high schools. But we need here the support, the political support to cross, and this is very important to have today, Ministry of Tourism and Ministry of Education, because without both of them, we cannot create and don't make this a reality. So, on the next slide, I have to say what I was telling you. Basically, we have inside the toolkit the journey, what we can do in the high schools, but not only in general education track, but also on vocational education track. What we can do to include tourism in the national system, in the international academy system, in the regular system. And of course, what do we do to manage the perception and the promotion of tourism as a strong economic sector, where we have a challenge? In higher education, I'm very pleased to talk to you, as yesterday was mentioned, as in the Executive Council was mentioned, for the first time as well in history of the organization, we launched a Bachelor's of Science in International Sustainable Tourism with 2 key players. Remember the ranking. Switzerland is #1 in tourism education, so that's why we need their guidance. And we developed UNWTO and the Lucerne University of Applied Science and Arts, and endorsed by the Swiss government, the first diploma, a joint diploma, a Swiss diploma, where we will have the opportunity to give all the UNWTO content there through UNWTO models to update the way people are educated. The first year will be held in Madrid. The second year will be in hybrid, so anywhere in the world. And the third one will be, of course, in Switzerland. So this is an example again, and here we have Urs, the director of this program as well. He's here because we are committed. Next year we are starting with the first group of students, and diversity is crucial for this. So we hope to have at least 1 student per nationality to really change the way. On the next slide, what we can see is on online education. Again, I come to education and technology. During the last General Assembly in Russia, we launched this, that was the first online platform focused on tourism education, with another key player, that is IE University, that is here as well, that is in Madrid as well, that is one of the top business schools in the world. And we are there creating courses, massive online open courses in English, in Arabic, in Spanish, where we have today almost 40 courses in 3 languages, where we have the top nationalities, India, Colombia, Spain, Chile, Saudi. We need more and more and more, because the more we scale up the way people are educated, the better. We signed an agreement with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and for the next year, we will have 50 courses, and all of them are for our member states. All of them will be focused from artificial intelligence in tourism to vocational tourism and technical matters in tourism. On executive education, here we have the Minister of Andorra as well. As all of us know, our UNWTO Academy is in Andorra, and we have there 2 strong programs. The first one is on-site courses. So more than 1,900 people were trained this year. We have more than 20 partnerships with universities for master's courses, executive education. And in TEDQual, that is our stamp on quality, we have more than 221 programs from 79 institutions with the stamp and the certification. 41 from Asia Pacific, 20 from Europe, 15 from the Americas, 2 from Middle East, 1 from Africa. We did more to balance the map that I just mentioned. So here again, the minister is here, and we are pleased to work with them to assure that quality education is always in every single corner of the world. And last but not least, the academies. So during the last World Tourism Day, as Secretary General and Minister Al-Khatib mentioned, we launched the Riyadh School of Tourism and Hospitality in collaboration with UNWTO. And the idea is to have more than 25,000 students by 2030, 10 subsectors of the economy. Diversification is crucial. 80% of this school will be focused on vocational training. And to start, we will create 50 vocational programs. And this is a global project for all of us. So again, this is an opportunity to bring people from all around the world to be trained with the power of the strongest universities, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to teach, the UNWTO is not going to teach, the ministry as well are the universities. So as I mentioned during the affiliate members conference, the first day, we have a lot of affiliate members as well in our network. This is another message to you. Join us and enjoy the opportunity to teach in different parts of the world, to bring the teachers of different top universities to teach in our academies. And last but not least, as I mentioned, and SG mentioned before, and the Minister Aziz mentioned before, we just launched another agreement focused on education, so to create the Samarkand Academy, Tourism Academy, in collaboration with the UNWTO. To do what? Because that's another question. What's the difference? Here, the focus will be to train the trainers, to train the teachers, to train the professionals, again, partnered by the private sector and the international academies, the international schools. And to deal with education tracks to help the workforce here to get trained on hotel operations and innovation, on hospitality management, on sustainable destination management. So the idea is to train or to retrain 1,200 students here in Uzbekistan. So tourism education, by far, is our present, is our top priority inside the UNWTO, is a strong priority for our member states, and is the way forward to make tourism succeed as an economic sector. We cannot talk about investments if we don't invest in people. We cannot talk about sustainability or about a sustainable sector if we don't have added value jobs, because people won't be retained and will go to other sectors. Education is key and is in the heart of everything that we will need to do if we want to succeed. So I wanted to give this message to you, to run then all the panels, to wish you all the best, and again, to welcome each of you. I'm really happy today because I see the plenary absolutely full, and that's another message. People are committed on education, so I would like to thank all of you and to welcome all of you to work with the UNWTO. I know that that will be hard now for me and my team, but it's the way to go, and it's the only way to go, to work together to assure that the young generations are here to stay and to lead by example in the most human economic sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Ms. Bayona. Great analysis on where we are with the tourism education across the world and what UNWTO is doing to promote tourism education in the world. And I think you have very well set the stage for our next the panel session. It will be a high-level ministerial debate on policies to foster innovation and education for current and future generation. And I'm very pleased to invite on stage our moderator, who is Mr. Juan José Güemes. Mr. Güemes is the chairman of the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center and vice president of economic affairs of IE University in Spain. And I'm a bit released now to hand over to Mr. Güemes, please.
I forgot. Thank you very much, Natalia, for your inspiring words. There couldn't be a much. Thank you very much, Natalia, for your inspiring words. There couldn't be a better introduction to this panel in which we bring together in this panel, we bring together ministers of tourism from countries which make some of the best practices in tourism education. Let me call to the stage and join me in giving them a very warm welcome to Cristina García Frasco, Minister of Tourism of the Republic of Philippines, please. Dr. Nasser Ali Yusuf Quaidi, Chief Executive Officer of the Tourism and Exhibition Authority of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Ana Yancy Carolina Rodríguez Castillo, Ministra de Turismo de la República de Guatemala.
Minister of Tourism for the Republic of Guatemala, the wonderful country of Guatemala. Please come up.
Rodney Sikumba, Minister of Tourism and Arts of the Republic of Zambia. And last but not least, Jordi Torres, Minister of Tourism and Telecommunications of the Principality of Andorra and host of the UNWTO Education Academy. So I don't know what to do. Should I join them or should I moderate them or trying to moderate them from here? So my first question, I'll stay here to avoid noise. My first question, ministers, is how can governments encourage innovation in tourism education to keep pace with the rapidly evolving industry, trends and technologies? Starting, please, Cristina, if you're gonna open the floor.
Mabuhay. Good morning, everyone. The importance of education in tourism in the Philippines cannot be overemphasized, especially that we recognize the Filipino tourism worker as the best asset of Philippine tourism. Tourism in the Philippines employs over 5.35 million Filipinos, accounting for over 11.4% of our entire national employment. And therefore, the focus of our government has been to ensure that at every level of education, from basic education, technical, vocational, as well as higher education, there are interventions that would ensure quality tourism education. The Philippine government is governed by the Philippine Tourism Human Capital Development Plan, which lays down the strategy of convergence among government agencies to ensure that the approach towards tourism education is not only theoretical, but also practical. And the role of the Department of Tourism has been to be the bridge between the academe and the industry. The Philippines approaches tourism education in a trifocal manner. On the aspect of basic education, the Department of Education offers courses from as early as grade 11 and 12 specific to tourism skills that would prepare them for entry-level positions in the industry. On the supervisory level, we have the Technical Education Development Authority that provides continuous trainings on various tourism skills that would provide opportunities for employment in the supervisory sphere. And finally, in the higher education level, we have the Commission on Higher Education that governs all of the universities and colleges in the Philippines that offer baccalaureate, doctorate, and postdoctorate courses on tourism education that would give opportunities for employment in the higher level of the accommodation sector. what the DOT does is to bridge all of these departments with our Tourism Industry Board Foundation, which is a composite of various associations in the entire tourism value chain, composed of tour operators, travel agencies, hotel owners and operators, even restaurateurs and the like, so that the curriculum of every level of tourism education continues to be updated in order to correspond to global trends and continues to apply the concept of innovation, especially in response to the changing needs of the consumer. And therefore, it has been through this convergence approach to education in collaboration with both the academe as well as the industry, with the Department of Tourism serving as a bridge for these institutions, that has led to Philippine tourism being fueled by the excellent Filipino hospitality that our country is known for all over the world. Thank you.
Ana Yancy, Ministra de Turismo de Guatemala.
Minister of Tourism for Guatemala, how can governments guarantee that we are able to innovate in education, tourism education, and stay up, keep pace with all of the changes that are happening in the industry? Thank you. Hello, everyone. Salam alaikum. I am going to speak in Spanish. For us Latin Americans, education at the regional level is a challenge. You can see that many times the Central American region doesn't really appear on education maps, but we have made strides forward. Number one is to include the compulsory subject of tourism in curricula. And we try to involve the private sector in education initiatives, and also to start this training not at the lowest, from primary to secondary, all the way up to university, so that young people already have access or know about the existence of the tourism industry and what it does, because it is a great source of jobs and of employment and wealth. And it's also important for us to train our young people and work on capacity building, because in countries like ours, the tourism industry is a great value change, and it also is a great way to link to learning about gastronomy and culture and language and and the environment as well. And so we work with tourist guides and try to find a way to have a nationally recognized label and make sure that our guides are qualified and able and know to show the most beautiful aspects of our nation. We also try to make sure that at university level that they also the universities work with the private sector in addition to including tourism in their curriculum, and making sure that all of our country's universities have this type of degree program. We also in the government want to make sure that they include topical subjects such as including for people with mobility issues and differently abled people. And as I said, it really is a challenge for all of us Latin American countries, Central American countries, to make sure that tourism curriculum is given in our countries. It also is something that the UNWTO has done to help us. They have accompanied us and tried to help us have online accreditation. It helps us get access to people who have lower or fewer resources, and it's allowed us to reach people and to have people who otherwise wouldn't be involved and have access to the tourism industry do so.
We want to go next. How can governments foster innovation in tourism education?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I think to just really put it into context, and I'm very happy that Natalia did really set the stage. If you look at what has been happening world over, and Zambia to be specific, you'd find that on average we have a youthful population. 65% of our youth, of our population rather, is youthful. And we're trying to look at how best we could cap that particular market into the tourism sector. Now, we have an issue about the chicken and an egg here. On one hand, we're talking about pushing investment in the sector, infrastructure, we're talking about resorts. On the other hand, we are failing in terms of having to work on human capital. So what we've actually decided to do as government is to make tourism, education, to make hospitality, for lack of a better term, sexy. And why am I saying so? Is because we want these boys and girls, you may have seen from the stats that Natalia shared, most of us are not having this particular hospitality qualifications as being in the top 3. Why? Is because, number one, most of it is seen as being casualized. They are not well paid as opposed to the other sectors that we have in our various countries. Now, what we need to seriously look into, obviously, is the human capital as well. Governments need to make sure that these particular jobs within our sector, within tourism, become top tier. Why we're saying they become top tier is simply because we know that in many of our countries, we have a lot of unemployment. I'll speak probably for Zambia and probably for Africa. Now, why we say so is because we want to see as many boys and girls, the youths themselves, to get into the sector. This sector needs to be a white-collar job, as opposed to what is called a blue-collar job today. Reason being that, number one, it is not matched with the requisite qualification. The only way we can pay it better is by way of making sure that that qualification is matched with the requisite remuneration. And that is why we've always found that most of our boys and girls would not get excited to get into hospitality. But on the one hand, we're saying how best can we partner with governments, how best can we partner with private sector. Now that is exactly what we're talking about. We need to ensure that the many boys and girls that we have there, we get them into these schools. We're very happy that today in Zambia, we've prioritized education. Only today, when we got into government, in Zambia today we have free education from grade 1 to grade 12. And we further also added icing to the cake by allowing bursary education, skills sponsorships for those ones who may have the skill but are not yet certified. So we're looking at how best we could certify them, especially within the tourism sector. Now, because of that, we have also gone further. Because of the window that seemed to have opened in our country, we are now reworking the curricula with the Minister of Education. And our hosts, I would like to just commend that what we've seen today here, we've got the Minister of Tourism and Environment, as well as the Minister of Education. That is the one government position that we're taking in our country, where now we're sitting with our colleagues in the Minister of Education, and we're working towards changing, or rather crafting, a hospitality curricula, which will be embedded in the schools. And I'm happy to mention now that the tourism curricula will now be embedded in secondary schools, into tertiary education, as well as an opportunity for us to grow it into the bigger universities, as we may have seen with the other countries that we have. Now, the quintessential question that we have here is, how much investment are we going to put in? Who's going to help us? Is it purely based on government itself, or rather are we going to have to get private sector who's going to handhold this whole process in making sure that we create a value proposition? Now, I'll speak for Zambia today. We have a hospitality school in Zambia today called the Zambia Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Studies. Obviously, the school is small, but we're looking at having to grow it. Why do we want to grow it? We want to create what we'd like to call a culinary school of excellence. In this particular industry of ours, you may have heard from our colleague from Saudi, where they have actually built 3 resorts at an airport, and we're talking about close to 3,000 room keys, which they've got to set up. How best are we going to manage to fill up those particular investments that they've actually set up? Now, for us as Zambia, not only are we looking at setting up training our boys and girls for Zambia only, but we're looking at opportunities of sending them out for export. That in itself will create value in whatever we're trying to do within our sector, within our country, and we should be able to start seeing that over and above what we're trying to achieve. We should be able to start seeing more of the value that we get out of it. Now, to conclude, we should also understand that with the changing times, the world today is evolving at a very, very fast rate. And it's very, very important that we actually pace up with the changing times. We in Zambia have actually created the Ministry of Science and Technology. We realize that the conventional ways of doing things have actually changed. We're talking about how you do your reservation system. We're talking about all your booking systems. We're talking about how you can actually trend in terms, you can manage or to tackle feedback from your various guests. That in itself is what we think we should be able to put in place to ensuring that our boys and girls who we get to employ in the various resorts that we have, in the restaurants, in the bars, at the historical sites that we have, lovely Samarkand, you've seen it when we went around the other day, we could actually tell that the boys and girls who are out there explaining the history behind what they have today, they're very passionate about it, and that's exactly what we want to do. So whoever we're going to invest, whoever we're going to train into our sector should be able to really, really apply themselves to making sure that that particular tourist who's going to visit your country will leave your country with a lasting impression and making sure that he's a retained client, or rather he'll be able to refer that particular tourist to come to visit your country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nasser, how to foster innovation in tourism education? What's the point of view of Bahrain?
Sure. Thank you. So I think the main context to play in this whole discussion is post-COVID, I think the whole world, as we saw from the indicators, experienced a rapid recovery or influx of tourists and visitors coming into different markets. And it caused a reevaluation of priorities in some of the non-conventional tourist markets in terms of the appetite of the global marketplace. Now, obviously, one lesson learned during COVID, which is something that a few years ago would have only been just a hypothesis exercise from academics, is what would be the impact of the global economy without tourism? What if you took a scenario where you extracted tourism? What would be the state of the global economy? And we witnessed that all firsthand. We saw the total impact that it resulted in terms of its devastating effects on the retail sectors, on the manufacturing sectors, on also the hospitality and other segments of the economy, transportation, logistics, and others. It means that tourism itself was a critical core function of national development plans and strategies, but was often regarded as sort of something as an icing on the cake. And I think this resulted in many markets, including Bahrain, to look at, okay, this represents the direction of the future. Why? Because this means that tourism is not a sector in itself. Everything is correlated to tourism. Retail is tourism. Healthcare is tourism. Sports is tourism. And so on. So as a result, this brought the realization that there needs to be a strategic focus on growing and nurturing the tourism sector as a way to multiply those effects across the entire national economy. And this is where the issue of the education tourism becomes more relevant. As we're seeing this influx of attention, this added scope in terms of looking at new projects, developments, Bahrain in particular, we have billions of dollars worth of tourism projects that are actively underway. We received last year over 10 million visitors for a country with a population of 1.6 million. So you can understand the multiplier of this impact and toll on the economy, and where we need to make sure that the private sector with the human workforce and the education system is geared towards feeding into these new priorities. And obviously we all know that, again, from the presentations that we just had, that when you're looking at education tourism, when you're looking at youth, transforming the youth mentality, getting them to focus and prioritize tourism, this is a matter of highlighting the value. Do they see it as a valuable trajectory for their careers down the line? Historically, families, cultures from the east to the west have groomed their kids to pursue careers in medicine, finance, perhaps manufacturing, technology, and others, but not so much in tourism, because the perception has always been that there's a limited scope for progression and growth within the tourism field. And I think this is going back to that first point, where understanding that tourism is not just about degrees in hospitality management or degrees in catering or culinary expertise. It has to do with the full spectrum of services and support that the country is intending to give in order to be a tourism marketplace. Tourism is everything, again, from your immigration officers at the airport to your hotels, to your hospitals, to your different services that are provided across the entire spectrum. So to profile this, what we have done is we would develop a campaign to highlight the opportunities that are available in the tourism sphere, covering the opportunity across multiple sectors, again, from sports to innovation, creativity, technology, and others, and to understand that the spectrum is not just limited to traditional tourism outlets. And so this is where, over 2 decades ago, Bahrain launched an important initiative, which is to establish a labor fund, which contributes $250 million towards the training of the national workforce. And this, when I say training, it means that we provide 100% cost coverage of all training to nationals. And at the same time, in order to ease their transition into the workforce, we also provide a salary subsidy as well, in order to encourage and transition them to look at both the elements of the salary, the appeal, and others. Now that is on the vocational level. Then at the education level, from a school or primary and secondary, it's about highlighting those opportunities, highlighting the national dialogue around tourism, how important it is for the economy. If I, as a government, showcase the technology sector as a key priority, people will focus on that. The parents will groom their children to focus on technology, because they'll see that's where the opportunities are going to come about. But now we have transitioned that debate into tourism. Tourism is the top priority in the government. It is a message coming in from the very top. Ourselves as Bahrain, in coordination with our regional Gulf Cooperation Council neighbors, including Saudi Arabia and others, have all recognized the need to prioritize this as a key driver for diversity, and that messaging is very important. And so this is where we have worked to both reinforce that important communication that needs to go out, that this is a priority. We'll stand with you, both from the private sector and industry level, but also from the education and training level, that we are gearing and shaping you up for the next generation of where the opportunities will be, both in Bahrain and internationally.
Thank you very much. And Jordi, how to foster innovation in tourism? What's the experience of Principado de Andorra? What worked, what not?
Thank you, Mr. Castellano. Today, the subject of our Global Education Forum underscores the importance of what it is, and I applaud the words of the Secretary General and Natalia Bayona, and I thank them for mentioning the academy that was opened 25 years ago in Andorra. There are more than 10,000 different people who have attended, and it is proof positive of the challenge of education and our commitment to it. Things have changed considerably in recent years. It used to be that it was very easy to travel and there was considerable growth, but we've seen some international incidents that have complicated travel in the past 20 years. For instance, the 9/11 attacks, other tourist incidents, and obviously the COVID-19 pandemic. And we think that we've gotten out of the mindset of growth for the sake of growth. And now we're not seeking indefinite growth, but we're going to focus rather on quality. And that's why we need to focus on changing our business models and focus on providing quality services and curricula. So at Andorra Academy, we have the focused on the World Trade Organization's focus on quality education. And so we think it's important to constantly adapt to the new needs of the tourism industry. We need to listen to people who work in the hotel and restaurant business, in hospitality, so that we can adapt the training and adapt the degree programs to the needs of the industry. Also, we need to, when we're to teach the importance of leadership, communication, and management, so that our students are much more prepared to work in the hospitality industry. And for me, also, a fundamental point is, you know, it used to be that somebody would have a career path, the same career path for their whole working life, but now things are different. And technology, artificial intelligence have changed things, and AI has taken a significant role in, or a big place in education, and we need to adapt to that. And so as part of these constant changes, we have to adapt to the sectors, the industry's demands, and especially it's important to offer competitive and dignified salaries, living wages. We need to value the people who work in the hospitality industry. As Natalia showed, in most countries, tourism is not a big percentage of their national GDP, but we feel that it should be a valued industry. It is for our country, and anyhow. Just to give you background about my country, Andorra, we only have 80,000 inhabitants. We have more than 9 million tourists per year. And so tourism is a huge part of our country and a huge part of our GDP depends on tourism, and that is why it is a main priority for us. And it's what led to our growth in Andorra. And a forum like this really underscores the fact that it is so important to value the hospitality industry, the tourism industry, and that we value its people, our human capital, and that they feel proud to work in that industry.
Out of time, a big hand for Jordi and all the ministers, and for the amazing takeaways we've got in this panel. Thank you very much, ministers. Thank you very much.
That was quick. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gracias. Pensaba que eran dos intervenciones.
Yes, I thought I
no,
could
pero
just
claro,
give you
yo como
some
he
of
visto.
this is from
Thank you
Zambia.
very much, dear colleagues, and
Yes.
Professor Guillemes for moderating
This is for my
this.
panelists.
Yo pensaba dos.
Thank you. So now, colleagues, I think we can move on. And once again, big thanks to our presenters. It was great to hear different perspectives from diverse parts of the world. And now we have even more exciting keynote address by Miss Kathleen Kennedy, who is a Senior Director of MIT Horizon and Executive Director of MIT Center for Collective Intelligence. I just would like to say a few words about this center. I'm sure you're all aware about MIT as a leading world-leading, cutting-edge institutions, especially in the area of technologies. And Kathleen will be actually delivering her keynote speech on the subject, which is Unleashing the Power of Tomorrow, Transforming Technology, Innovation and Education for a Limitless Future. So please, Professor Kennedy, if you can take the floor. Yeah, you're here already, very good. The only thing, we're a little bit behind our schedule, so it's 50 minutes for you.
I will be very fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, terrific. I will actually time myself so that we will stay on time. All right, terrific. Now, a number of the topics that I'm going to talk about were teed up in this conversation already. The idea around continuous education, the idea of AI is transforming our world, and therefore we need to update the systems in the things that we do and how we operate, and then we need to think about how we do continuous training. So let's go. Emerging technologies, and specifically AI, is changing the world. And I'm sure you see things every day. So for instance, the cryptocurrency market is a roller coaster ride. I was a keynote speaker at a big AI conference last year with the CEO of FTX in October, and in November, he was indicted, and the company went bankrupt. So there's a big roller coaster there. Cryptocurrency is an issue, but ransomware attacks are huge. So that's costing companies a lot of money. ChatGPT. Raise your hand if you use ChatGPT. So not a few people. The fastest growing consumer application in history is transforming the way that we're doing everything. Generative AI is here to stay, and we need to adapt on how we utilize it. AI models are starting to be able to do things better than humans. That's something that we need to keep an eye on. This is an example from something in medicine, but that's going to start hitting across every industry. And we need to be thinking about what that means. You need to be thinking about that for the industries that you work in, and what does that mean for the companies there? Industries are being disrupted. We're seeing non-traditional players come into very established industries and becoming the leading player. That's really important to think about. What does that mean? And keep an eye on how to stay ahead and stay competitive. And we're starting to just change the way we do things. Technology is enabling us to transform our systems overall. Last night, we saw another example of that with fireworks. That's been around forever, but we saw drone light show. Which did you like better? So we can do both. So I think that's a terrific example of we're starting to see emerging technologies and new ways of doing things come into our everyday lives. Now, companies are trying to keep up. 96% of companies are investing in digital transformation, and 60% even more than they did last year. But 93% are struggling. So there's a lot of work to do on figuring out how to stay ahead of all of these technologies that are transforming our world. So I like this quote because I think that it is a good one to help us think about, not to be afraid of all of these technologies, but just to think we need to transform the way that we operate. And in fact, we need to move away from just being more productive, but how do we actually think about how to make our organizations more intelligent? and how do we make them future ready? So let me just talk about a few different aspects of things. One is going to be how we think about frameworks of bringing in AI into our organizations. And then the second is just thinking about how to think about education with these disruptive technologies. So first, Supermind design. So this room right here, you are Supermind. You are a group of people that have come together and are operating in an intelligent way to solve a challenge. The WTO is a Supermind. Supermind design is a methodology that we're building at MIT that is a framework and a suite of tools to be more innovative on how to organize people and technology together. I'm not going to go into the details of the framework. I encourage you to check it out at superminddesign.com. But it's exactly what the last speaker was talking about, that we need to figure out new ways of organizing and operating, and especially with new technology. And this will help you to think about innovative ways to do just that, defining challenges in new ways, generating ideas, and then evaluating ideas. The moves are organized around fundamental moves, and then Supermind design moves that think about how groups of people and technology can be organized in new ways, thinking about the cognitive process of how decisions are made and where there are leverage points, and then how to bring in new technology to transform and how to do things in a new way. This is a quick way of showing how it works. And we've created a number of tools to help do this. So looking at how GPT-3 and 4 could be harnessed, we've created fine-tuned tools on how to use this methodology. We're working with the footwear industry on how to be more sustainable. Now, sustainability is something that we've heard throughout this, that's very important, but it's a tough thing. How do we transform the way that we operate? How do you transform what you do in order to be more sustainable? This is a tool that could help you to do that. So the Supermind Ideator, you put in something that you want to do. So if you see it there, I want to build a sustainable future for the footwear industry on the foundation of a circular economy. And it will give a number of ways that that can be done, and then it can be fine-tuned from there. The second tool is called Design Aid, and that will take a lot of the ideas that come out of that and put them into a graphical format so that you can actually see how different things can operate in a different way. Now let's bring this to what you're trying to do. So thinking about new ways of doing tourism. So for fun, we put in just a quick idea on how do you design a unique and authentic experience for tourists visiting Uzbekistan. Very interesting question. How do you do that in an innovative and different way? And a number of ideas came out on the Ideator. And then we started looking at them on different mood boards on what does that look like. I'm sure today you work with major firms and staff to do these types of things. These are new tools that are using different AI platforms. This particular one is using GPT-3 and Stable Diffusion. But there's all kinds of ways that we're going to create new systems for innovating and ideating and creating new ideas. And then how to evaluate them and start to implement them. So we're not taking people out of the equation. What we're doing is bringing tools in that will help people to work faster, better, more efficient. So these are just some more examples of how this works. This is all part of a project at MIT that we're working on and looking at superintelligence. The idea of how people and computers can be combined to accomplish tasks 10x better. Not 10% better, but 10x better. How can we do things exponentially better? Now, this is an interesting part of that work. This is an experiment that we did that was looking at how a job could be done by a non-trained worker compared to a trained worker. This is something that we're hearing a lot about, and that's why we focus a lot on education. This was showing that human programmer, that was a trained programmer, plus a GPT-3 AI tool, could be 27% faster if the human and the AI worked together. The second finding was that a non-trained person, someone who doesn't know programming at all, could work with that AI program, produce something at the same speed, the same accuracy, and would be less expensive than the trained human programmer. Now, this is something that you should think about as you're scaling up and thinking about different training programs or allocation of human resources. This is a trend that we're going to start to see. Future of work, we're looking at redesigning the hiring system with AI in mind, thinking about the human system of that, as well as the algorithms for matching and how that's done. We're working with the government of Singapore and looking at how the nature of work is dramatically changing our environment, our social structures, our political structures. It's a 5-year project that we're looking at across the entire economy of Singapore. One project I'm working on is looking at the travel industry specifically, and starting with the airport, the entire customer experience from beginning to end. We're working with NATO on different decision-making structures and how new systems can look at making decisions in complex systems better. Sustainability, a very important one. We've been working with new systems around how to solve challenges in this complex issue, and doing that on a city level. We've been working with the government of Madrid on how to connect the civic society with the lawmaking in new ways. Crowd law, looking at how that can be done in creating laws, and then rethinking how at a country level, we worked with the government of Japan on thinking about depression. Now that was a huge issue now after the pandemic. We did this work actually before the pandemic. This is some of the researchers that I work with. And now quickly, I just want to go into talking about education. So how many people in this room are trained AI programmers? We've got 2 trained AI programmers in this room. So interesting. Do we all need to become AI programmers? I hope not. So no. But what everyone does need to do is create basic proficiencies around new technologies. To understand how to work with these new technologies, everyone doesn't need to be a programmer, but they do need to know how to use them. We know this is an issue. The World Economic Forum came out with their report, their jobs report in April, showing that 6 out of 10 workers are going to require training by 2027. And the issue is that only 30% of organizations are prepared to close that skills gap. So we've got some work to do here. Now, one of the points that we heard the Secretary General say and a few other folks, that people are changing in the way that they think about education and training. No longer do you do your education, finish college, go into the workforce, and then work your career and retire. But in fact, what we're seeing is there's continuous education that needs to happen throughout your career. And then we're also seeing that there's a lot of job changing that's happening. This is the trend, so we need to adopt our systems in order to follow that. A methodology that we've created at MIT is called ACE, Agile Continuous Education. You heard the word continuous a few times from some of the other speakers. That's a critical one. And then thinking about how can you be agile with doing that. The other issue is how to do it cost effectively, where people cannot just quit their jobs and go back to school. They need ways that they can do this on an agile and continuous fashion. So the three ingredients for this are individual self-paced learning, so online programs that people can do at their own pace in an asynchronous fashion. And I think that the big program that the WTA announced with online and executive education is a really great first step towards that. The second is group, team-based, synchronous learning, bringing people together, but it can be online, but an asynchronous online or in-person program. And then the third, which is critical, is on-the-job training. How can there be mentored on-the-job training? Now, right now, we think about mentors as human mentors on the job, but in the future, this can be an AI that is a mentor for individuals that they understand how to do things on the job. We've created a platform at MIT that I run called MIT Horizon that employs these three steps. So there's a platform with asynchronous content around emerging technologies, as well as leadership and different things that people need to stay continuously learning. Experiences that bring people together to work in a group in hands-on learning experiences around real-world scenarios, working as a team. And then we've created tools for what we call impact spotlights on how are different things being done in the world. This is, if you want to think about it as case studies, but real-world examples about how challenges are being solved, specifically with new technologies, and to inspire how to do that better. This is just some feedback that we've received from learners. One of the things I think is interesting here is the idea around the frozen middle that we're seeing in a lot of organizations. That's a challenge that we need to solve, and we're happy that some of the tools that we're putting in place are solving that. We've been working with a number of large organizations, specifically the US Air Force and the entire United States DoD, of putting this in place. The idea of how do we educate and train at scale is something that we're doing a long-term research study at looking at that, and specifically this one was around AI. But we're working with organizations all around the world. So we work with the UN, we work with the Inter-American Development Bank, we work with the government of the United States, of the UK. We're also working with large organizations such as Vodafone, BMW, Schlumberger, and other large organizations in looking at how do they transform learning within the organization. I want to leave you with one last point that I thought was a very interesting one in preparing to come here. I found some studies that were looking at education and GDP. And one that I thought was really interesting, and to me backs up what you're doing here in this investment in education for the tourism industry, that a nation's wealth may not just depend on how well their work, that it will depend on how well the workers learn on the job. The study was done at Northwestern at the Kellogg School, and it suggested that formal education, just investing in primary and secondary education, would not alone close the gap, but that in fact, higher economic development was achieved by continuous job training. So with that, I thank you. I hope this inspired you. and enjoy the rest of the session. I look forward to talking to some of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kennedy. Indeed, it was inspiring. I think quite a lot of takeaways for us to take from this particular presentation. But one I think is an important one, is that when we combine capabilities of human and technology, then we have, I think, great results. So thank you very much once again. Now, colleagues, we move on from here, and I would like to invite now Mr. Kunal Vasudeva, who is a co-founder and managing director of Indian School of Hospitality, Education Investing in the Future, who will provide us with a full picture of the way forward and who will be moderating our next session, which will be dedicated to the subject of tourism as must-have subject in education and youth perspectives. And UNWTO Education Toolkit will also be presented by Professor Vasudeva. Over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, Mr. Zurab, Salam, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Guten Tag, Minister of Tourism and Education, my fellow dignitaries, Natalia, somewhere you're in the room, your grace sets a tone and makes it a pleasure for all of us to contribute. I was raised in the 70s era where a career in hospitality was marginalized and stigmatized and often seen as a last resort than traditional fields such as medicine, law, commerce, humanities, and even considered less preferable to a period of aimless soul searching. Fast forward to today, where the world is rapidly recognizing what some still hesitate to grasp. We have entered the experience economy, projected to become $8.2 trillion behemoth. This isn't a niche. It is a transformative force altering the DNA of our global economy. In this seismic shift, the critical differentiators are not merely products or services, but the memorable experiences that we craft, the emotions that we kindle, and the lives that we enrich. It's no longer about unit economics, it's about human economics. And it is not the software engineer, it is not the medical professional, it is not the lawyer leading this charge, it's us. Individual trained in the nuanced art and the rigorous science of hospitality. But despite its broad-reaching implications, the field of hospitality often finds itself compartmentalized and relegated to the realm of only vocational training. The irony is glaring that society relegates hospitality education to a mere vocational training while simultaneously depending on its graduates to lead the experience economy. More than 3 decades in this industry, I can firmly attest that the time has come to reframe our understanding and elevate hospitality education. Because it's not a stepping stone, but a foundational pillar upon which the future workforce will be built. Now that we understand the pressing issue, let's unravel the myths that have held us back. But if you have to trace the origin of this typecast, we must delve into the historical context in which these perceptions are based. The service industry has long been a victim to cultural and social biases favoring the so-called hard skills over the nuanced understanding of human interaction. This bias has done us disservice to hospitality sector and society by undervaluing the essence of hospitality. The necessities of the modern world call for a recalibration of this viewpoint. Emotional intelligence, adaptability, resource management are not merely elective qualities. They are essential foundational skills of the 21st century work professional. According to a McKinsey report, emotional intelligence will be a requisite skill for 26% of all the job requirements globally by 2030. Additional studies by Deloitte show the soft skills which are central to hospitality could yield a $2.3 economic benefit globally by 2030. Yet, armed with this data and forward projections, the widespread recognition of skills as foundational competencies is still in its infancy in many nations. This isn't merely an inertia or lack of imagination, it's a systemic issue, and that requires multi-stakeholder solutions. So having dispelled some common misconceptions, the next logical step is to consider how we can collectively act to correct this course. Building upon the recalibration of skills highlighted earlier, it's evident that systemic transformation cannot be achieved in isolation. Under the stewardship of the Director General, the UNWTO has shown astute leadership in identifying hospitality and tourism education as a cornerstone for sustainable growth. It's more than mere validation. It offers a critical framework for investment and innovation in hospitality education. Alignment with the UNWTO's strategic initiative isn't a matter of choice. It's an absolute imperative for creating a future that is equitable, that is financially sound, but more importantly, sustainable. So the burning question remains, where do the resources for such an ambitious vision originate? And in my opinion, the answer lies in public-private partnership. These collaborations are critical to a sustainable future because for offering a blend of financial muscle, enduring commitment, and more importantly, continuous innovation. So we have established the need for unified action. Let's delve into some concrete examples that highlights the stride we've already made. India serves as an illustrative example. Public-private partnerships are not a new concept in India. It is an operational reality bringing about tangible changes. India's PPP models in various sectors have set benchmarks on how government and private players can and do collaborate for national progress. In doing so, India isn't merely avoiding systemic bottlenecks, but also capitalizing on a new governance and a social responsibility model. The stride made in PPPs within India are impactful and uniquely tailored to harness the country's human capital, thereby driving our transformation growth. Take Germany, for instance, where dual vocational training have been incredibly effective, demonstrating again the compelling role of PPP. Singapore, for example, has a robust skill-based future program that partners with industries to anticipate and address the skill gaps in advance. Switzerland, a leader in hospitality education, consistently ranks high in Human Development Index. There's a lesson for all the countries that undervalue this crucial segment, neglect hospitality, and you inadvertently compromise on human development metrics. While we have made significant progress, there's still so much to do. This brings us to the actionable policy recommendation we need to consider. Let's explore quickly the necessary frameworks. I'm not talking about just another MOOC platform. I'm advocating for a dynamic, adaptive learning ecosystem that addresses the entire talent development life cycle, from upskilling, continuous skilling, reskilling, and as the lady mentioned earlier, is modeled on the ACE. I call it the triple bottom line stack. The first stack, local competency mapping, this serves as the foundation. Through AI, we monitor real-time job listings and skill requirements, adjusting our curriculum to fit regional demands. This ensures that the community at large is educated in line with local marketing needs. In a sense, we are aligning skills and competencies to meet local demands while creating a model that can be globally applicable. Second stack, just-in-time reskilling. This feature acts as an agile response mechanism to ever-changing landscape. While local competency focuses on baseline skills for specific communities, just-in-time reskilling captures real-time industry shifts and quickly updates the curriculum to prepare students for imminent opportunities. It's about future-proofing each learner. Which comes to the third stack, and this I call the personalized upskilling, and this is the customization layer. It takes the curriculum updates from both local competency mapping and just-in-time reskilling and tailors the learning paths for each individual learners. AI analyzes career goals, performance metrics, emerging industry trends to personalize the curriculum for each student, making their learning journey unique. Consider this as a private AI educator for each student alongside a human educator. The transformative shift in our industry calls also for a uniform standard of excellence across hospitality education. A UNWTO-backed accreditation can elevate this to the gold standard. By establishing a global consortium endorsed by UNWTO, we do more than add credibility. We streamline talent recruitment and fundamentally uplift our industry's global competitiveness. This, in my opinion, sets an unparalleled paradigm for excellence in hospitality education. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at an inflection point where we must decide. Will we merely adapt to the changes in the experience economy, or will we lead them? But I'll leave you with this. To invest in hospitality and tourism education is to invest in the future. It's a future that promises to be bright, provided we are brave enough to reach out and shape it. Thank you so much for your time. We had to kind of cut short because of the paucity of time, but really, thank you. You've been a really kind audience. After discussing the broad impact of hospitality and tourism education on the experience economy, so let's focus to the market realities. Let's discuss the nuts and bolts by dissecting two critical questions. The first one, how do we seamlessly integrate hospitality and tourism education into our academic frameworks? And B, how to improve them by looking at challenges and opportunities. And we have experts in the room. May I, Alicia Gulden, can you come onto the stage? Sue Mufa, can you come to the stage, please? Professor Ernst Wagenseil. And my rising star, Zukro, where are you? Come. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to moderate it from here. We're going to talk about the UNWTO toolkit. Ladies and gentlemen, you have it on your desks with you. I encourage you to kindly examine those materials closely. But to delve deeper into this topic, I turn to you first, Professor Urs. UNWTO and Lucerne University have developed a pioneer bachelor's program in international sustainable tourism. Can you share with us insights into how the bachelor's program
Yes, of course.
will be preparing students in the sustainable tourism field? Over to you, professors.
Thank you very much.
Can you hear?
Yes. Can you hear me? It's on.
Go ahead. Yes. Yeah, it works. Please go ahead.
Well then, thank you very much for giving me the floor, and let's start with this microphone. So, what is the program all about? The majority of things, of course, we can read on the website, and several aspects have been mentioned by Natalia earlier this morning. However, I would like to highlight what makes the program, or how can we guarantee with the program that the students going through the programs are ready for the work period afterwards. So, first of all, of course, we combine the competencies of the two organizations, the key competencies of UNWTO, with the network, with their up-to-date knowledge, what is tourism in the world. So that comes into the program permanently in many, many modules. In addition, of course, it's us, the university, of course, with our teaching skills that want to combine as well. So the program itself, it's structured with 5 core topics or subjects. So we have management content, of course, business content, development aspects, marketing communication, but also applied science aspects. And last but not least, we highlight a lot the professional world means that there is not only an internship integrated in the 6 semesters, but we have designed the modules, the content, to integrate the industry in nearly every module with their problems, with their cases, with their challenges, directly into the content, into the programs. So they can run master classes, they can send us cases, problems, study research questions, but of course, guest speakers as well. So we really can guarantee that this is not a theoretical study, but intensively connected with the real world and the tasks in sustainable tourism. So, and let me close this first introduction here, or these first questions, with the message to all the businesses in here, all the affiliate members. Please contact us, Natalia, my colleague Ignacio, or I myself. How can we integrate your business, your strategies, your elements and problems into the content of the study to guarantee that the students are ready for the jobs they get afterwards?
Thank you. I'm going to call you back. Sure. Thank you, Professor Urs. I love the architecture and the intuitiveness of the program. Now let's explore the academic perspective a little bit more. Sue, as a contributor to the UNWTO Education Toolkit with both the methodology and the Cambridge Travel and Tourism curricula for secondary education, in your opinion, how does the curriculum aim to engage and inspire young learners to become knowledgeable and responsible participants for the tourism industry?
Thank you, Kunal. It works.
It works.
Thank you, Kunal, for your thought-provoking speech earlier. The Cambridge Assessment International Education, our qualifications are taken in over 130 countries across the world, and we have more than 1 million students. We offer 3 qualifications in travel and tourism: IGSE Travel and Tourism, Cambridge O-Level Travel and Tourism, and these are aimed at 14 to 16-year-olds. Cambridge International AS and A-Level Travel and Tourism is aimed at 16 to 19-year-olds. Our whole Cambridge curriculum has been designed to support the development of skilled and knowledgeable individuals who can help take forward the sector into a sustainable future. So, Kunal, how do we engage students? Well, all of our travel and tourism syllabuses have a focus on the impacts of tourism and how those impacts can be managed. A key focus of our syllabuses is the need for sustainable and responsible tourism, managing tourism responsibly to ensure that the culture and environment are protected. And these are issues that our students really care about and are well informed. So our syllabuses are recognised internationally, but they're designed to be locally relevant. We've designed the syllabuses to give teachers the freedom to use local examples to engage their students, examples that are specific to their students' context. And as well, and they can use those as well as examples from other parts of the world. And we encourage teachers to use real-life examples in their teaching. But of course, it's really important that our courses are relevant and stay relevant in a changing and dynamic sector. And we design our syllabuses to be flexible enough to allow teachers to include new initiatives and exciting innovations within their courses. The Cambridge Travel and Tourism qualifications combine academic rigour with the opportunity for students to apply the concepts and develop their skills. AS-level students plan and manage a tourism event within a small team. The team writes the business plan, they find finance, they market the event, and then they run the event. And afterwards, they write a report as individuals and submit that to Cambridge as part of the assessment. So the feedback from teachers is that students find the subject accessible and engaging, synthesizing the concepts and allowing students to apply those concepts to real-life situations inspires them and motivates them. Teachers don't experience non-attendance in their classes, and student retention is very, very high.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much for this. It's very evident that your work is clearly shaping the next generation of future learners and rising stars. Also enriching to hear the curriculum is designed to achieve just that. Let's shift our attention to an industry perspective on the educational alignment, ladies and gentlemen, especially in the evolving landscape of tech and sustainability. Alicia, we are keen to hear your views, and my question to you is, ALE has also contributed to the UNWTO Education Toolkit with a methodology for the Hospitality and Tourism Management Program. So how does the program for secondary students help them prepare for potential careers in the hospitality and tourism industry?
Thank you. I'd like to ask everybody in attendance to indulge me for a minute. Can you raise your hand if you like to cook, you enjoy cooking and preparing your meals?
Ladies and gentlemen, can you please raise your hands? For the love of hospitality.
Right? We've got about 40–50% of everybody raising their hands. Could you imagine the 1.2 billion youth that Natalia talked about earlier had that same level of interest? And through education, we could inspire and empower that next generation to become our next chefs, food and beverage executives, gastronomic tourism ambassadors. That's what we're trying to do with the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute and the National Restaurant Association. A key example of a program that we have today is a 1-year or a 2-year curriculum in culinary arts and restaurant management. This program has been implemented in 2,100 schools. Of the 80% of the 190,000 students yearly that participate in this program, they start because they like to cook. They like to cook. Through our educational programs, we're able to turn that and empower that into lifelong careers. That's what we're trying to do with our new hospitality tourism management program. If you have a brochure on your table in front of you, it tells you about the methodology and the curriculum here. The curriculum not only talks about the world of hospitality and all of the subjects and the different segments therein. Think hotels, lodging, culinary, food and beverage, tourism, travel, attractions, and event management. It also focuses on those soft skills. I call them power skills. I think power skills is a much better terminology for them, that are critical for our industry. These are communication, teamwork, leadership, creative thinking skills. In addition, because this is curriculum for the high school, it has cross-curricular content. So we focus on arithmetic, math, science, research, creative writing, everything that our students need to be successful. Not only do we focus on what is tourism, what is the philosophy, what are we trying to accomplish, the program itself is endorsed by large brands such as Marriott, Hyatt, and Hilton that allows for us to talk about the career paths with these industries. As we look at the career paths, we also provide certifications and credentials that allow a student that goes through our program to advance into a post-secondary institution with earned credentials that allow them to pass out or earn credits towards their secondary education, or priority hiring for those students who are entering into the industry who decide not to pursue an advanced education. Why is this important? I want to tell you about a story with Jamaica and why private-public partnerships are so crucial. The Ministry of Tourism in Jamaica, the Honorable Minister Bartlett, started looking at the workforce in Jamaica and wanted to increase capacity across all levels of employability, whether it was line level to management, all the way up to leadership for tourism and hospitality. He partnered with the Ministry of Tourism or the Ministry of Youth and Education to align our hospitality and tourism management credentials to the educational system, resulting in year 1 and year 2 level credentials. As part of this program, we have certified over 40 instructors as certified hospitality instructors for tourism. We have graduated over 500 students, and we currently have 300 students in the cohort existing today. What's so powerful about this is they've also partnered with Sandals Resorts, a large luxury resort brand within the Caribbean. Sandals said they want a part of it. They are now going into the classroom to do presentations to the students about real life experiences in the hospitality industry. They're inviting them for on-site visits and field trips, and they're providing paid partnerships or paid internships to the students. The result is that all of the students who are coming out of this program are getting hired directly into Sandals. And Sandals is retaining them as strong employees, elevating the industry. The program is a win-win-win. We're elevating tourism education in the country. We're providing a pipeline of dedicated education professionals to go into the industry. And third, they're providing higher wages and career paths to advancement for supervisory and management positions for the workforce.
I love it.
It's a really exciting program.
I love it, Alicia. I love the fact that you're demystifying hospitality education, and that's what the world requires. We also have Zukro, a student at the Silk Road International University of Tourism and Cultural Heritage. She's a rising star, ladies and gentlemen, who represents the voice of the next generation in tourism. And Zukro, my question to you is, in your opinion, why is tourism education at the secondary level important for students like you?
So, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Warm welcome to Samarkand, our guests. Welcome to historical and beautiful Samarkand. First of all, I want to start by saying why tourism education is important nowadays. So, for me, when I was attending the university, I thought that tourism is just like traveling and meeting new people, meeting new culture, testing the different cuisines. But now, after the studying like third year, I realized that tourism is like a most broadening sphere, and it's like most dynamic and competitive industry in the world. My thoughts changed after studying several types of subjects, and after the volunteering during my second and third years, I meet so many different people from different cultures, and they were so hospitable, and they were talking about their problems by registration, by collecting their bags. I solved their problems, and I learned so many different things. It's like tourism, it's not just about travel, it's just how to communicate with people, how to serve to them, and how to host them in tourism sphere. So, my thoughts about the education in secondary level is important because we are now living in the future that will be tourism will develop in the next 5-10 years, and I hope that every professionals in tourism sphere will find their job in that sphere.
Zukro, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing what students really think. Ladies and gentlemen, for Zukro, that's the rising star. We go into segment 2 quickly. Let's deep dive further and understand the interlinkages. What I call is again the triple stack effect: tech, sustainability, and quickly the hospitality academia. Professor Urs Wagenzeil, for you, let's take a broader and a more conceptual angle. Can you talk about how focusing on sustainable tourism can change how business is taught?
Well, technique is working super. The problems of today's world, I mentioned the COVID crisis impacts, climate change, CO2 emissions, and if we see the growth now of tourism again, soon there will be discussions about over-tourism and maybe protests of populations in high-demanded destinations. So these problems are an opportunity to change the education towards sustainability. And it's maybe not only an opportunity, it's a must to change the business or the education as well. I feel there are 3 aspects and 3 strategies or elements that have to be changed. One, as mentioned by Natalia earlier, in too many places, countries, and education institutions, tourism is not addressed. And sustainable tourism as well is not addressed appropriately. So these 3 dimensions of sustainability needs to be in the framework of the curricula that are made by education authorities in the world. Second, but it's also the tourism industry that can impact the change in the education. The more the tourism industry, the business, change and improve their sustainability strategies and activities, the more they prove the impact, the positive impact they have And this, again, will indirectly give more pressure to the authorities to change the framework. So the tourism industry has to prove that sustainable tourism is the only way. And so the education will be adapted soon. And last but not least, of course, it's us, the educational institutions as well, that have to change this. Too often, we still highlight the hospitality industry isolated. But it was mentioned many times this morning by different ministers as well. The service change must broader. And all these service change needs to be addressed in the curricula and in the modules. So tourism is cross-cutting, and we have to demonstrate it in our programs. So we have to go further. We have to integrate political topics, social science topics, modern technology, new technology elements in the tourism industry to prepare the students to be capable when going out of the school education systems.
Thank you, Professor Urs. Compelling argument. I think it's time for us to rethink, recalibrate. Sue, I hate to admit this, Sue, but I need to ask you, how can hospitality and tourism education gain the same perceived validity, relevance, and recognition as humanities subjects? How? Can you connect the dots for us, quickly?
Yeah. Okay, well, it is a problem. We designed our travel and tourism syllabuses to be comparable with our other humanities and social science syllabuses. The assessment objectives are common across the suite of syllabuses: understanding of concepts, application, analysis, and evaluation. And we looked carefully at the weightings of those skills within the syllabuses to ensure they were comparable. Our travel and tourism syllabuses are included in our Cambridge ACE diploma and ICE diplomas, and they have equivalent credit value. But ultimately, recognition is a decision made by the end user of the qualification. In our experience, we attract high numbers of entries and strong candidates in countries where tourism is the main industry. But I was talking to Vesna earlier this week, and she told me about an initiative in Tanzania where the donation of $1 a night for each tourist staying in a wildlife park has allowed people who once poached animals to now be employed on a regular income to help safeguard those same animals. And really, it's initiatives like these that are sustainable and involve the local people. These initiatives will help bring recognition to hospitality and education in the future.
Thank you, Sue. I know it's a difficult task. We've run pretty much out of time, but we have our rising star over there. So one last question. Zukro, you want to come over here and take it? Right? Let everyone see you. Come. Come here.
Come to stage.
Yeah, come here. I'll ask you a lovely question. You're a student. You're the future. Come. And my question to you is, if you were granted 2 wishes for transforming hospitality education, tell everyone what those 2 wishes would be. Anything that comes to your mind.
So nowadays, technology is like transforming in tourism education, and I think that we should working with the technologies in tourism sphere by knowing the robots, new facilities like AI, when she mentioned about it, and all technologies like which provides better in tourism sphere are greater. And my offer was also about putting in the secondary levels for children in the schools, like ecology and tourism as a subject, because we are living the environment where it's like air pollution is bad, and Now it's getting worse because if we organize the sphere of tourism like MICE tourism, there will be, of course, some problems with pollution. And for this reason, if we start to study children from their school year to know how to protect the environment, how to love the nature, how to love the ecology, it will be, I think, great. And I want to help to provide this.
Minister of Tourism, Minister of Environment, beautiful country, beautiful student, beautiful education system. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. I always say one thing. You may earn in medicine, you may earn in retail, you may earn being a lawyer, but you all spend in hospitality. Think about it. Thank you so much for your time and Your Excellency. Please, yes. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Professor Urs. Really appreciate it. Come. She's beautiful. Do you want me to be part of it? Oh, right. I don't know. Come. Please, up to you. Let her be here. Yeah? Ma'am. Come. Do you want to be here? Excellent. And this is for Zukro.
Yeah, no, for her it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Yes, Zufra and Fatima.
Oh, yeah? You would never know, and His Excellency just mentioned that maybe Zukro could be the next Secretary General to Zukro and the likes of Zukro. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I think it was very inspiring, a very emotional session, so I once again thank all our panelists. And now, dear colleagues, we move on. We don't have much time left, and I would like to invite, you have heard today throughout the day about newly established Tourism Academy here in Samarkand, which was established with the UNWTO. And I would like to invite on stage Ms. Suna Park, who is advisor to the Minister of Ecology, Environmental Protection and Climate Change of Uzbekistan, and she will present this newly established academy. Suna, please.
Thank you. I promise I will be quick. I timed myself. Assalamu alaikum. I think in the past few days, since the start of the General Assembly, the number of words of gratitude expressed in a single go by so many countries towards the hospitality of Uzbekistan has broke all the records. And I would like to thank all the delegates for acknowledging our efforts in hosting this historic General Assembly. Thank you very much for that. In thinking about this, especially after yesterday's cultural night, I also realized that every time I hear the delegations expressing their gratitude, I get this amazing tingling feeling inside. It's a mix of joy, pride, and determination. And when I thought about this in preparing this speech, I realized that maybe the reason why I get this feeling is because hospitality is something that runs in the DNA of Uzbek people. The General Assembly, in my opinion, is not only historic because it is being held in Samarkand for the first time, but because it is so well aligned with the values that we hold as a nation. And these values are hospitality and education. In the beginning, the minister has mentioned that the historic landmark, the Registan Square, which many of you may have visited, sometimes not many know that these are actually testaments to education and enlightenment of our people. The Madrasa of Ulugh is one of the oldest educational institutions in Uzbekistan. Built in the 15th century, the madrasa was preparing some of the most prominent scientists and scholars of that time. I would like to pay your attention because this is a miniature painting by Kamaluddin Behzad, and if you look carefully at the motifs, you will see that it's not only men but women among the students of Ulugh. Now this really breaks the stigma. Number one, that education back in those days was only for men, but second of all is that education was mostly of religious context. The Ulugh Madrasa was known for providing some of the best secular education of that time. Now fast forward to present days. Capitalizing on these historical fundamental pillars, hospitality and education, and as part of radical reforms of transformation of the country, the President has set an ambitious vision of transforming higher education and really bringing tourism and hospitality to an institutional level. So it really all began with that. The establishment of Silk Road International University of Tourism and Cultural Heritage back in 2018. But with this vision in mind, it was really since the onset planned to create an entire tourism and hospitality educational complex. Now, if you look at number one, this is where the academy is being constructed today, already actually completed the construction. And if you look at the yellow parts just below, this is where the Silk Road Academy is. And also within the same vicinity, we have the UNWTO thematic office. This is not by coincidence. Now, all of these institutions are actually connected with each other and complement each other, allowing a flow of students, ideas, and also interchange of skills and capacities. And so the process has begun. With the vision that was set up, we started thinking about the way we would like to see this new academy. And as much as everything related to content, of course, is important, number one priority was to select the right building, and the construction has begun. The building itself and the facility of the academy was modeled on the best Swiss hospitality schools and the best hospitality schools in the world. With a careful and active work by all the team members and a personal involvement of the minister in every part of the construction process, we have really set an ambitious goal to complete the construction process in time for the General Assembly. And we very much hope that tomorrow all of you will be able to see the results of that. So you will not believe, but we were able to achieve significant results, significant progress in a very short time. But of course, all of this was with the involvement of our partners at the UNWTO. And as everyone knows, some of the labs that we were modeling on the Swiss hospitality schools, you will also be able to see them tomorrow. But of course, as with any best educational facilities, buildings themselves do not bear any meaning without the content. So with hours of Zoom discussions and conversations with the UNWTO team, we have created a tailored program specifically dedicated to training professionals in tourism and hospitality. So the Academy will run two flagship programs. Number one is training of trainers. We set an ambitious goal of contracting 40 trained trainers who will be responsible for training a minimum of 10 beneficiaries per year. By doing so, the program will strive to have a cumulative impact of training 10,000 beneficiaries by 2030, playing a crucial role in ensuring a sustainable and highly skilled workforce for the thriving tourism sector. The main branches that we have that will run in the Academy would be hotel operation and innovation, hospitality management, sustainable destination management. The second flagship program is the long-term retraining program for experienced professionals. Now, to start with, we aim to reach 1,200 beneficiaries for the first year of operations. And in order to ensure flexibility for already practicing professionals, they will have a choice of selecting a certificate full program, select one short course, or a number of short courses to begin with. Now, in addition to receiving this theoretical knowledge and practical experience, we are focusing on providing internships and collaboration with the private sector. Now, this is extremely important because the number of tourists grows every year, and we need to be able to cope with this amount of tourists and therefore provide the best professionals to the sector. And another important factor is international rotation. The reason why we value partnership with UNWTO educational team is precisely because they enable us to allow for international rotation of our students of the Academy across the network of sister academies around the world. Some of them include the Riyadh School of Tourism and Hospitality in Saudi Arabia, the existing and running UNWTO Academy in Andorra, and other countries. So with that network, we really hope that students will be able to rotate and experience various approaches to hospitality in different parts of the world. In conclusion, I would like to give you a case study. As much as I do love these amazing facilities of Silk Road Touristic Center in Samarkand, I do have my own favorites. Perhaps many of you did not have the time to visit Bukhara, but there is a new hotel that was constructed just a year ago, Mercure Hotel Bukhara, run by an international chain of hotels, Accor. They have invested more than $4 million into this hotel. But one of the biggest challenges that they faced during the first year of operations is lack of qualified staff and professionals. So in addition to this $4 million, they had to spend $300,000 to bring the managers from abroad. You must visit this hotel because it really testifies how you can combine old with new, because this is a traditional architecture of Bukhara. I also have another favorite hotel here in Samarkand. It is tucked away on a narrow street in the old part of the city, just behind the Registan Square. Now, this hotel was also constructed by the same architect, and the number of investment reached $3 million. But the difference between the hotel in Bukhara and the one in Samarkand is that the manager of Kosh House Hotel is a graduate of Silk Road International University of Tourism. And the business was able to really maximize their profits and minimize their spendings. Now, the reason why I brought up these examples is to demonstrate that what we are doing here with establishing this academy and by focusing on education in the sector is really aligned with the market demands and demands of the businesses here, and has the power to bring real, tangible economic benefits. I very much hope that tomorrow our honorable delegations will be able to see the results of our long-term work with the Academy, and you will be able to appreciate it we will have an opening tomorrow, so everyone is welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Suna. Nice presentation, and I hope what you have heard and seen now, you will be able to see yourself tomorrow during the visit. Now, colleagues, throughout the day we have heard different perspectives of the ministers, then university professors, tourism industry practitioners, but I think our picture will not be complete without the perspectives of those who run our historical cities. And therefore, I would like now to invite on stage the mayor of the historical city of Nara in Japan, Mr. Jen Nakagawa. Mr. Nakagawa, floor is yours, please. But you have 5 minutes, Mr. Nakagawa, please. 3.
Thank you very much for introduction. I'm Gen Nakagawa, Mayor of Nara City. I have been mayor since I was 33 years old, and this year will be 15 years. It is a great honor for me to be here today to participate in the 25th UNWTO General Assembly. I'd like to thank His Excellency Zdrav Prorikashvili, Director General of UNWTO, and His Excellency President Mirziyoyev and Minister Aziz Abduhakimov of the Republic of Uzbekistan, the host country, for giving me this opportunity. The cities of Samarkand and Nara have been in contact through the Silk Road for 1,300 years and became sister cities last year. Nara is where the capital was located 1,300 years ago. It is truly the root of Japan. At that time, it flexibly accepted cultures of various countries through the Silk Road and developed based on diversity and inclusiveness. It is truly remarkable that half of the 6 emperors of the Nara period, 8th century, were women. And the famous great Buddha of Todaji Temple was built with the concept of creating a world where not only humans, but also animals and plants can flourish together. This is a concept that is similar to the SDGs of today. We need to learn about the diversity of each other's cultures and values and build a world full of respect, not just the economic aspect of tourism. Along with the great Buddha of Todaji Temple, a World Heritage Site, Nara is symbolized by the deer in Nara Park. More than 1,300 wild deer walk peacefully in a place where there are no cage or keepers. The sight of them reminds us that this world is not only for humans. These episodes that makes up Nara tourism are truly ESD, Education for Sustainable Development itself. Fortunately, UNWTO Regional Support Office for Asia and Pacific has been located in Nara City since 2012 and plays a major role as a base for supporting the rapid growth of tourism in the Asia-Pacific region. I hope that this meeting will be the first step to shed light on such multifaceted roles of tourism. I look forward to welcoming all of you in 2025 when the International World Exposition will be held in Osaka, Nara's neighboring city. I'd like to express my deepest appreciation for the precious opportunity to address you today. Thank you very much.
Arigato, Nakagawa-san. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now, colleagues, I think we've done with all our speeches, all our presentation and panels. And we are moving to a very pleasant ceremony, which is called UNWTO Ulysses Prize for Excellence in Creation and Dissemination of Knowledge and Tourism. And I would like to call on the stage Mr. Becca Giacchelli, who is UNWTO Director of External Relations, and he will be managing this the ceremony. And just to say that the prize that will be awarded to distinguished scholars for their outstanding contribution to creating and disseminating innovative knowledge and tourism. Mr. Giacchelli?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Ulysses Prize for Excellence in the Creation and Dissemination of Knowledge is a very special award. And this has become a source of inspiration for all the educational institutions, for research institutions, for the entire industry. Scholars, distinguished scholars, for their outstanding contribution to the creation and dissemination of knowledge are granted this special award. As Special Advisor to the Secretary General on Education and Research, Dr. Jafar Jafari says, and I'd like to quote him, Ulysses has become, for the entire global travel and tourism industry, a Nobel Prize. This is purely the evaluation. The whole process is completed in a rigorous, transparent, and unbiased manner. And the special coordinating committee composed of 3 well-known professors, academics, Dr. Jafar Jafari, Dr. Donald Hopkins, and Dr. David Avery. They manage the whole process, and the former laureates of Ulysses, they are selecting and evaluating the best candidature against the set strict academic requirement. Based on the recommendation of the coordinating committee, then the Secretary General is making the final decision of the winner. Unfortunately, neither Donald Hopkins nor David Avery are today with us due to personal circumstances, but we have the pleasure of having Dr. Jafar Jafari with us. He is the man who, back 20 years ago, came with the idea of establishing this award, and he is an inventor of this important award. He came to the Spanish royal family, then he negotiated with the UNWTO, and this is very shortly the history of the Ulysses Prize, and we are very proud of Secretary General and the entire team of UNWTO of having this award under the umbrella of UNWTO. I would like to acknowledge the presence of one of the former laureates of the Ulysses Prize, 2011 Ulysses Prize laureates, Professor Kay Chon, Dean of Hotel and Tourism Management School of Hong Kong Polytechnic Institute. Thank you so much for being with us. And without further ado, I have the pleasure of giving the floor and calling him to come on the stage, Dr. Jafar Jafari, Special Advisor to the Secretary General on Education and Research, and welcome to Samarkand. Please, for your welcome remarks.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to address the General Assembly. But first I want to talk about last night. Unbelievable. How did we survive all this hospitality last night? Non-stop entertainment, non-stop hospitality. It's unbelievable. I was trying to to find a terminology for that when it is overdone. And I was going to say over hospitality, then I thought it would mix up with over tourism, which is negative. We don't want that. So finally, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I came up with the term, which I submitted to the minister, extreme hospitality. This is what we had last night. Unbelievable. Thank you very much. I know we are the people between you and the lunch, so we have to do it very quickly. Thank you very much for the introduction. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you and to celebrate formation of knowledge in tourism. I will have 2 brief histories about to share with you. When I say brief, I mean brief. It's lunchtime. Once I want to talk about history of knowledge, and next I want to talk about the history of Ulysses Price. Tourism industry itself, excuse me. Tourism industry itself is a very aged industry. It has been around forever. But tourism studies is newer, and it really took off after World War II. In 1960s, we articulated its economic benefits. In 1970s, we debated its costs and benefits. In 1980s, we talked about different forms of tourism development. In 1990s, the scientification of tourism began. Really took off and got higher elevation in the 21st century. So there are books written about that. There are articles written about that, and I summarized it for you in 1.5 minutes. And now going to the summary of Ulysses Award, or prize, excuse me. Many years ago, when I finished my master's degree, I sent a copy of it to Mr. Robert Lunati, the Secretary General of UNWTO, the predecessor of WTO. At the time, it was in Geneva. So I mailed that to him, not email, mail. And a week later, I received a letter from him, congratulate me for what I had done, and invited me go to Geneva to visit with him. Thank you. This is called hospitality. Thank you. And to my surprise, he gave me an award for my achievement in the area of research and scholarship. That award left a sort of impression on me, or a question. Why don't we have a recognition award for knowledge formation in the field of tourism? I looked around and we had the same in every field, but not in tourism. And of course, the best of the best is the Ulysses Prize, which is given every year to the fields of economics, medicine, etc., etc., etc. But there is no mention of tourism, so I thought maybe we should have an award of our own. And that was the idea I got, thanks to Mr. Lunati, from him. And a few years later, I decided to put it on a page. Developed it to a proposal and submitted that to UNWTO. My original idea was to have the King of Spain to give the award with the endorsement and cooperation of UNWTO. Now, why King of Spain? Because in my mind, Spain is the tourism capital of the world. It's Mecca of tourism, basically. So I thought that would be a good idea if the king would give the award, and with cooperation from WTO. But after consultation with each other, we decided that WTO would be the place that an institution that would give this award. So we have already given this award for 15 occasions. Now, after this brief history, I think we are ready to celebrate the accomplishment of the next recipient. We thank you for your support. I would like to say that we in tourism, if we join forces, both in academia and the industry, we could be a much stronger industry or field of study. This is a wonderful field. Like every field, knowledge has value in it. Knowledge formation is very important in it, and it has to be celebrated. Without knowledge, we cannot have education and training. The subject of today, the Minister of Saudi Arabia rightfully said we have the hardware and the software. But in the center of the software, which we call today education and training, is knowledge. Without knowledge in hospitality and tourism, how could we have courses or degrees in this area? So it is the knowledge that has to be celebrated, and we have the occasion this afternoon, I have to say, not this morning. Thank you very much for your attention. Should I say here?
Thank you so much, Dr. Jafari, for your impressive remarks on the significance and history of the Ulysses Prize. And now we start the ceremonial part, the most important part, and I have the pleasure of asking the Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Mr. Zurabpolo Likashvili, the Minister of Ecology, Environmental Protection, and Climate Change of Uzbekistan, Mr. Aziz Abdukhakimov, Executive Directors of the UNWTO, Natalia Bayona and Zorica Urosevic, and Professor Chon, Professor Chon, from former laureate of Ulysses, and Minister of Education from Uzbekistan, Your Excellency, to join the celebration process, and ask my colleague to give the award to, please, and the winner, before winner comes on the stage, of course, just briefly about him, having published over 300 academic papers, 20 books, he played a fundamental role in developing domestic tourism in China and positioning China as a leading tourism destination. He brought various Western concepts in China and introduced in the education and research system of the country. He played a fundamental role in bringing and working with UNWTO, leading the process of establishing the sustainable tourism observatories in China and leading that process. And I have the pleasure now that the Secretary General and Minister will award the winner of the 16th edition of the Ulysses Prize Laureate. The winner is Dr. Bao Jigang from Sunset University. After a group photo, Yes. So family members of Dr. Bao are invited to come to join us on the stage. Thank you so much. I would like to ask colleagues and excellencies to go back to the, and Dr. Bao to invite to address his remarks. Thank you. Dr. Bao, floor is yours.
Your Excellency Secretary General, Your Excellency Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very much honored to receive the 16th Ulysses Award from UNWTO. This award is an international recognition of the achievements that Chinese scholars have made in tourism education and research. It's also a recognition of my contributions to tourism education, research, and social services in the last 40 years, especially my work in alleviating poverty through article plan. I started my career as a geography student at Sun Yat-sen University, from which I graduated in 1948. After that, I became a graduate student at Peking University. It was there that I had the privilege of learning from the pioneer Professor Chen Chuankang, whose guidance led me into a fascinating world of tourism geography. Regrettably, Professor Chen passed away in 1997. He is the first and foremost person I must thank for this award. The second person who played an important role in my career development is Professor Geoffrey Wall from the University of Waterloo in Canada, who broadened my research horizon when I spent half a year in Waterloo as a visiting scholar in 1996. His book, Tourism, Economic, Physical, and Social Impacts, was most instrumental in my early research years. My gratitude goes to Sun Yat-sen University, where I studied and worked for almost 4 decades. The university has been very supportive for the development of tourism studies and my own work. My very special thanks go to the former president, Professor Huang Daren. His generous support in workspace and facilities changed my mind when I was considering leaving the university. I'm pleased to report that now Sun Yat-sen University's tourism and leisure studies ranks the 5th in the Shanghai Global Ranking of Academic Subjects in 2022. Furthermore, I thank my PhD supervisor, Professor Xu Xueqiang, who provided me with the opportunity of studying in Canada and led me to the international stage. I thank my colleagues in the School of Tourism Management, whose teaching and research excellence has brought scholarship in tourism studies to a very high level. I thank all my students who have worked for the article project and other projects. I'm very much indebted to UNWTO, which I collaborated with since 1998. Such collaboration has been very conducive to my work in tourism planning, the monitoring and management of sustainable development in tourist destinations. My involvement, along with UNWTO, in evaluating the tourism development master plans for Sichuan, Yunnan, Shandong, and the Hainan provinces enabled me to adopt an international perspective in examining tourism development in China. In 2005, together with UNWTO, we established the world's first observatory on sustainable tourism development in Yangshuo County, Guilin. After that, 8 more such observatories were set up across China. Such work wouldn't be possible without the support of the local governments of the given observatories. I very much appreciate the support of UNWTO, especially that of the Asia Pacific Department and the Sustainable Tourism Development Department. My immense gratitude goes to my parents. My father always believed the importance of education and made sure I pursued the path of a scholar rather than that of a martial art athlete. My mother, who is 101 years old now and illiterate, has waved numerous goodbyes without asking why my stay at home is always shorter than she expects. She's delighted with the award that has a name she can't pronounce. I thank my wife and my son, who I can always count on for support, and they are here with me today. I'd like to thank the Ulysses Prize Coordination Committee again for hosting this event. I regret that the limited time I have doesn't allow me to name all the people I want to thank. Tourism is an essential human need. In spite of the challenges thrown about by COVID-19, I believe that nothing can stop international tourism development. Tourism alleviates poverty and enhances economic development. Tourism is a powerhouse for innovation and sustainable development. Tourism makes the world without a boundary. Tourism brings the world together. Tourism makes the world a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bao, for your insightful speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay in the room in this because we have a very important part, upcoming part, the 2023 Best Tourism Villages ceremony. Please stay in the room, very important part. Thank you.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, I think we've done now with the Global Education Forum, and it's time now to close it. And in my closing few remarks, I would like to thank, first of all, UNWTO Secretariat and His Excellency Secretary General and his team for organizing of this event. I would like to especially thank His Excellency Minister Abdul Hakimov and his team for excellent organization of this event. I want to thank all the participants who traveled from all over the world to this event and all the technical staff who made the Global Forum very comfortable and useful. So colleagues, thank you very much once again for your attention, and I hope this will not be end, but just a continuation of our future cooperation and dialogue. So thanks a lot, and as it was suggested, those involved should stay for another event in this room. So thank you very much once again.